Hi.
Erev Tov, good evening.
So hi, Benjy. Hi. I'm just going to introduce myself and then I'm going to ask you a few questions. Apparently there's a bit of a delay, so we're on live now. Welcome to everybody who's viewing us, who's tuning in on Facebook, on YouTube, and on Twitter. It's lovely to have you all here joining us for this very exciting opportunity to travel across the world to meet with one of my favorite places in the world, which is Haifa and the Leo Baeck Education Center, where um, where I have visited many times. And my name is Rabbi Neil Janes. The reason I'm involved is because at one stage I lived in Haifa and was able to visit the Leo Baeck Education Center, beautiful on the mountain overlooking the sea, the stunning school, and also stunning students and teachers, and the environment, the atmosphere that's created there is simply unique. I'm currently a rabbi at West London Synagogue and also the executive director of the Lions Learning Project. I'm involved in both liberal and reform movements, and I'm really thrilled to be able to welcome Benjy, and in a moment we'll meet some of the students as well from Leo Baeck Education Center. But Benjy, why don't I ask you just to introduce yourself and then maybe just lead into telling us a bit what's been happening at Leo Baeck Education Center during the strangest times that we might ever experience in our lives, that's happened globally, but what's happened at the center during the pandemic.
Thanks so much, Rabbi Neil. My name is Benjy Maor. I'm coming to you from the Leo Baeck Education Center in Haifa, where I work. And it's really an honor and a pleasure to be here. I want to thank you, Rabbi Neil. I want to thank Liberal Judaism. I also want to thank Rabbi Aaron Goldstein and the trustees of our Friends of Haifa Leo Baeck in the UK, who are tremendous partners. For those of you who are not familiar, on one foot, the Leo Baeck Education Center is about providing inspirational experiences to Israelis to inspire them to live their lives according to three values: liberal, progressive pluralistic expression of Judaism, social justice and tikkun olam, and thirdly, shared society amongst all our citizens and residents, Jews, Arabs, Christians, Muslims in the state of Israel. What's unique about Leo Baeck, and those of you who've been know what I'm talking about, is that we comprise a school, a progressive synagogue, congregation Ohel Avraham, and a community center, as we like to say, a school, a shul, and a pool. So what's been going on since Corona and the pandemic, I really would briefly want to talk about three things. First, we've gone online like everybody else, and our students in particular have moved to school online and had an opportunity to continue their studies and even prepare for their matriculation exams. But even more so, because of the legacy of our school, which was founded over 8 years ago by Dr. Rabbi Meir Elk, a student of Rabbi Leo Baeck, our students continued with their civic engagement and tikkun olam projects throughout the time that they were even online, and when, according to government regulations, we could get back out into the community and helping seniors and those in need. And the third thing that I want to mention that we've been doing during the pandemic is really helping those in need and those who've been directly impacted by Corona, by COVID-19. So thanks to the generous support of numerous people like many of you watching us, and this is my opportunity to thank you, we were able to provide laptops for students from families without financial means, so those students would still have the opportunity to study online. And that included students from single-parent families, students from immigrant families from Ethiopia, and other students in our neighborhood. And this was due to support that we received from partners in the UK and around the world, and for that we're tremendously grateful. But this is really about hearing from the students, because Leo Baeck is about changing Israel through education and building community through education. And the best way that we can do that, and what we wanted to have this evening be, is a chance to meet some of our students and have them introduce themselves. And then we prepared some questions to ask them, and we really hope that those watching us will also, type in any questions you might have.
Absolutely. So actually, I'm also going to field some of those questions. So if anyone wants to comment on the live Facebook feed or on YouTube or on Twitter, I'll be picking them up, and hopefully we'll be able to feed them into the conversation as well. The students, I remember Leo Baeck is a bit like a beacon in Haifa for the whole of Israel and actually for the world. The work that you do here, we can see it actually incredible. It's just the way that it's positioned is incredible, and the values that are really lived out, that social justice. But if anyone has any questions or anything they want to ask that isn't part of the questions we've already prepared with the students, put the comments in and I'll pick them up so that Benjy can ask them to the students themselves. So I think maybe we should go on, please, Benjy.
Just a comment about the campus. We're located on the slopes of the Carmel in the western part of Haifa, and Rabbi Robert Reuven Samuels Alav Hashalom, who was the rabbi who built the campus into what it is today, really had the vision of being placed at the location, which is on the border of lower socioeconomic neighborhoods, mixed Arab-Jewish neighborhoods, at the same time, the sort of middle to upper middle parts of Haifa. So we really could impact on everybody and help Haifa to be what some call in Israel as an island of sanity. For those of you who have visited, you know what I'm talking about. And those of you who have not yet, once we can travel again, you'll be wanting to come see us. And you can see the size of the facility here in terms of every opportunity that we're able to provide for our students, which is something that's really important.
Wow. Yeah, very, very important. Benjy, I think maybe it's a good time for us to welcome the students and to introduce them and to hear some of their things that they've got to say. They're going to appear on the screen right now. They are always this very special to meet. I met some of them at Limmud this last year, and I've met some of them before when I took trips with my synagogue. And also we have this wonderful encounter with one of our classes gets to do postcards, but that's with the elementary school. But here we've got some of the high school students, I think. So Benjy, why don't I hand over to you to do some of the introduction questions?
Okay, great. As you did mention, Neil, we have reception, we have primary school, we have middle school, we have a high school as well in terms of our educational frameworks. So let's go around the circle, if you will, and I'd like each of you to introduce yourselves. We'll start with Emma.
Hi, everyone. My name is Emma Goldstein. I just finished 10th grade. I'm 16. I major in Arabic and biology, which I love. As community service, I am in our school swimming team, as well as I represented our school in an MUN conference, Model United Nations. And also I take part in smaller projects such as baking and giving the goods to charity and things like that. I was supposed to be an ambassador for our school in the United States, in Houston, Texas. But unfortunately, due to the coronavirus, it won't work out this year. Yeah. Nice to meet you all.
Thanks, Em. As you can hear from what our students have their majors, they have community service projects, and many of our students have relationships that we provide for them with Jewish communities overseas. In Houston, of course, our partners are the Emory Weiner School, who send ambassadors to Leo Baeck, and we send ambassadors to them. Maya.
Hi, everyone. My name is Maya Osher. I just graduated 10th grade. My school majors are biology and physics. My main community service project this year, I'm guiding in the Mashatim. I'm a counselor, actually, and the Mashatim is kind of a youth movement here, and it's similar to the Scouts in some ways. Also, I take part in a leadership class that is a part of the program of Tikva Israelit, which means Israeli Hope. It's basically a program started by President Rivlin to different sectors in the Israeli society and bring them together. This is the goal. So we have one class in my grade. Also, I went on a delegation this year to the Limmud conference. That was the first time I met Jews from all over the diaspora, and it was a very strong and amazing experience. I think I was most affected by it when I got to know them and saw that things that I take for granted here as an Israeli teenager, they make choices on a daily basis that I don't make to keep their Judaism. So it was amazing to see and hear all of those. And also we did some sessions and panels, and it was really amazing. And
Thanks,
that's it.
Maya. Thanks, Maya. For those of you who didn't realize, Emma majors biology. Maya said physics, right, Maya? So we
Yes.
have more than 50% of the physics majors who just finished 10th grade are young women, something that is very important to us and we're very proud of. Yotam, bevakasha, please.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, my name is Liel Kantorovich. I live in Kibbutz Chotrim. I study in Leo Baeck Education Center. My majors are physics and cinematography. I volunteer in the Mashatzi movement in school, which is kind of like the Scouts. I was supposed to be an ambassador to Houston, Texas, but unfortunately it got canceled due to the coronavirus. And I hope to be part of it in the future.
Thanks, Yotam. Liel.
Hello, my name is Liel Kantorovich. I just finished 9th grade. We start majors in Leo Baeck from 10th grade, so next year I'm going to start them, and my majors are chemistry and biology. I've been to a delegation to a Jewish school in Moscow this year, and it was very, very fun. I met some friends, and I learned a lot about Judaism in Russia.
Liel, do
And
you have... Go ahead.
My community service, I hope it will be the school orchestra. I play piano. And if not, I hope to do my community service in emergency medical services in Israel. Yes, that's it.
Great, thanks, Liel. Adar.
Hi, my name is Adar Benishai Shor. I just finished 11th grade this year. At school, my majors, I study Arabic and chemistry. And for my community service, I also participate in the Mashatzim movement. I'm a counselor and I go on the trips there. And also this year, because of the whole COVID situation, it didn't get to happen. I participated in organizing a community Seder for in our school for Holocaust survivors in our community in the areas surrounding the school. So that was something that I participated in like very much. Unfortunately, we didn't get to do it this year, but yeah. Nice to meet you all.
Thanks, Adar.
Was that a Seder in person, or was it a Seder that was distanced? How did you, under the circumstances?
This year it didn't happen. Last year when we did, it was just like a regular Seder in person that we organized. But this year it did not happen because
of COVID.
Yeah. The Passover Seder is also a great example that demonstrates how the three components of Leo Baeck interact, because you have the students doing a social action project for Holocaust survivors from the community, supported by the rabbis from our synagogue. And it's an annual tradition that unfortunately this year we couldn't do, but next year we'll definitely find a way. Yaara.
Hi everyone, my name is Yaara. I am 17 years old. I just graduated from the 11th grade. My community project is, I also a counselor in the Mashatzim youth movement. And me and Adar actually were supposed to be a counselor in a summer camp in London, but of course because of the pandemic and everything, it didn't happen. But we will be having a Zoom meeting with some older youth from the Elef synagogue.
Mm-hmm. And what are your majors, Yaara?
My majors are physics and computer science.
Sounds very good. Elam.
Hi everyone, my name is Elam Federman. I've graduated 9th grade and my majors are software engineering and physics, and I'm in student council.
Okay, cool. And so we're going to start now with a couple questions that we've asked you to prepare some answers for, and we'll see how the time goes to see how many of you we can hear from. And there are important issues that are at the heart of what Leo Baeck is about and what the Jewish people are about and what our universal values are about. So the first question is connected to the fact that I was told that Leo Baeck is a reform, liberal Jewish institution in Israel. Actually, the only reform high school in Israel. The first liberal rabbis are graduates of Leo Baeck. I don't know if you as students define yourselves as reform Jews or progressive Jews or liberal Jews or not, but it'd be interesting to hear about some unique Jewish experiences that you've had at Leo Baeck that maybe your friends at other schools don't have. So maybe Liel, would you start, and then we're happy to hear from you.
Yes. So I just finished middle school, and middle school is a bit different than the high school because the synagogue is actually like in the same building as the high school, and the middle school is a bit in a different place. So this year we had a really, really interesting lesson with a rabbi from the USA, Rabbi Jack, and he came voluntarily and spoke with us about Tu B'Shvat, which is a holiday, and we made a very fun Tu B'Shvat Seder, and we learned a lot about Judaism in the USA and the differences between them and us.
Excellent, thanks so much. That's Rabbi Jack Paskoff, who of course is a friend of ours. Who else would like to share a unique Jewish experience, maybe a liberal Jewish experience that you've had at Leo Baeck? One of the other students?
I think I can answer this question.
Go ahead.
Hi. Okay. So I actually come from kind of an Orthodox family. This is the way I grew up. I went only to Orthodox synagogues with my family, celebrate all the holidays. And the first time I actually saw the Reformed Jews community is when I came to Leo Baeck. I went to Kabbalat Shabbat in the synagogue in our high school. I think I just came into the synagogue and I started looking for a part when I should go in like an Orthodox synagogue to the part for the women, and people looked at me and said, no, we all here sit together, and I was shocked, but in a good way. So it was actually amazing, and we all sang so many songs, and the whole experience, and it was such a nice experience and amazing.
So Maya,
And it was the first. What? Sorry.
Maya, just what I would like to ask then, how did you choose Leo Baeck? In the sense, was it just the best high school that was available to you, or was there some other process by which you chose Leo Baeck that led you to be at the school that was also defining in some way Judaism in a slightly different way, the values of the school?
Actually, I heard a lot about the Leo Baeck Education Center. Also, my big sister learned there as well, as she finished a couple of years ago. So I heard only great stuff about it, and she wasn't completely in the process of taking part in the religious side. She didn't go much to the Kabbalat Shabbat or anything else. So I mostly heard about the education part and the classes, but when I came, it was just charming. It was really something that got my eye on. I think it got me by surprise. So it was a different experience.
Thanks, Maya. Who else would like to share?
I just wanted to say that also I had a similar experience to Maya. I also grew up. I define myself as a, let's say, secular Jew, but not entirely, because that's how we say it here. But we do the traditions, we do the holidays, Kabbalat Shabbat, everything. I think it's important. But what I wanted to say is that when I saw how the Reform Judaism is, it was different for me, because I also, every time I went to the synagogue, it was an Orthodox one. Also, I have an uncle in the United States, which is an religious Orthodox. So that's the way I know it. And then I saw this way, and it opened up my perspectives, and I saw another kind of way of doing the same traditions. And it's very nice because it gives us the opportunity to evolve and learn new things. And we're still teenagers, we're still learning and about ourselves, about our environment. And I think it really gives us the freedom to choose what we want to do and how we want to do things. So it is a very nice thing that came out of it. Yeah.
Yaara, I know. Yaara, I knew
just-
you wanted to speak, but I'm going to ask something before you speak. You don't have to answer my question, okay? So although I'm asking it, you can ignore me. So I'm just curious, because these are events and moments in the week cycle, Kabbalat Shabbat, and encountering a different kind of way of doing ritual Judaism. I'm also interested, though, if any of you are able to point at ways that the progressive Judaism in a way is embedded in the life of the community of the school that isn't just about ritual. So if you have any comment on that, it'd be lovely to hear. But Yaara, whatever you were going to say, please, bevakasha.
I just want to say that I agree with Emma, and the school doesn't force you to be anything you are not. It just lets you the opportunity to explore everything, and it just presents you with a different side of the Judaism. And I come up from a very traditional family as well, and I just love that the school gives me opportunity to be what I want to believe in, and that's who I want to be. And I can give a specific example. For last year, we were in an identity seminar, which we learn about our Judaism and what made our nation what we are today and what built us as a nation. And for me, this is something that I didn't know is that happening in schools around Israel, just in Leo Baeck.
I want to follow on to Rabbi Neil's kind of question. Just curiosity, is the phrase Tikkun Olam something you would hear at Leo Baeck or not really? Did we talk about Tikkun Olam at Leo Baeck or not really?
I would like to say we hear it a lot. We have in school something called Gamach, which is every class goes twice or even thrice a year for community centers. And in fact, we help with packing food for families who have low financial support. And that is something that we call Tikkun Olam, like doing community services. And I just want to say that those community services we do, we're not forced to do anything. It's all very, very fun. And we go there and we turn on some music, and it feels very good to help someone. And I'm not sure other schools do that. I mean, I never heard of it, so it's very special.
Great. Okay, I think we're going to move on to the second topic we wanted to talk about. I also want to leave people hopefully wanting to learn more about these different areas at the Leo Baeck Education Center and with our students. So I mentioned in the introduction of this concept of Haifa as an island of sanity, and the fact that Haifa is a mixed city that has both Jews and Arabs, or Jews and Christians and Muslims. And I've heard that if you can ride on a bus in Haifa, and it might be natural to hear Arabic, to hear some Russian, to hear even Amharic, the Ethiopian language. So I'm curious to hear from you students. We hear so much in the news about the conflicts in Israel. What is it like for you to live in a mixed city like Haifa? And even if to know that we have non-Jewish students at Leo Baeck?
I,
Go ahead, Yotam.
Yeah. Haifa is, for me, is like a safe space in our present, which is racism and all of those kind of topics arising every single day. Haifa is more of a calm place when you can just sit and relax, because somehow we got to a point when the citizens of Haifa just accept everyone, Russian, Ethiopian, Muslim. I have in my class and one Ethiopians and two Arabics in my class. I myself was a Jew and all of that. And we got to a point when you can just be happy that you're here. And I think it's a safe space all around.
Okay, who else would like to share?
Um,
Um,
go ahead.
Ilam. Yeah, Leo, let's hear
uh,
and then you can be next.
I would like to think that this special mixture of cultures and religious, it makes Haifa more of a accepted city. It's more hard to think all the Arabs are bad or all the Ethiopian are criminals when you live with them and you have people that actually are friends of yours who is like that. And for myself, for example, when I was small, I used to really fear of Arabs because I was keep telling that they're terrorists and so on. And I met one that is in our class today, the Druze man, and he's a nice man after all. And I stopped thinking like that because they're humans like us.
Liel?
So, in my experience, I was born in Israel, but my parents came from Russia. And we're Jewish, but Russian. So, the culture is a bit different. We celebrate Russian and Israeli holidays as well. So, when I go with my parents sometimes and we speak Russian, so it was never such an issue because in Haifa, which is a mixed city, you can hear Russian, Amharic, which is the Ethiopian language, Arabic, from everywhere. So it's never an issue. I would say that in Haifa, it's more like the beauty of many cultures living together. And for example, in Christmas, so because there are many Christian in Haifa, the city is decorated with Christmas trees and lights, and it's very beautiful. We all enjoy much cultures, and yeah.
yeah.
Just while we're, please, Adar.
Yeah. So for me, I really do agree and see that Haifa is really mixed city. So everywhere you go, if it's in the school where there are many also students that are Jews or Arabs and Russians, and when I go to tennis practice, I also have Arab friends there. And when I studied music, in there were also many Arabs. So really, in Haifa, I personally feel that everywhere you go, it's really is a mix. It's not just like one type of people that live in Haifa, like the Haifans, and they're all like the same, like you find that can be in many other cities and places. It's really very diverse, and in all of these places where you meet naturally meet people who are different than you. I really feel that for me personally, and I see it with the people around me, that you really do get into discussions and you learn to know and appreciate and really become friends with all different kinds of people, even those who are very different than you. And I really think it's beautiful, and I really like that and like Haifa very much for it. Yeah, so I feel it's really special and important for our city.
I was just going to interrupt. Thank you, Adar, and thank you all for all the comments you're making. I want to encourage anyone who's watching us online to send in their questions. We'll have some time in a little while to answer them. I'm interested, you can do that either by Facebook or Twitter or YouTube. I'm interested, just whilst you continue to think about Benji's question about what it means to live in Haifa, I would say as a progressive Jew, one of the things that is at the heart of what it means to be a liberal Jew is that you can retain your sense of identity as who you are, but you're able to allow the barriers between people who are different to break down without fear, without sense of threat, to really understand each other and to encounter each other and to learn. And I wonder if any of that happens in the school, if there are spaces to learn from each other, not just because you're in class together, because the person sitting next to you is different from you, but also whether the school does things to encourage you to talk about difference and what that means. So if anyone else wanted to contribute to the question that Benji asked about living in Haifa generally, and then also I'd love to hear about the school as well. Anyone else want to add anything about Haifa generally, or about the school and how you break down barriers?
About Haifa? Go on.
So about our school specifically, I know that every time that there is a holiday which is not Jewish, because Jewish holidays are official in the country, and we have holidays, and so every time there is a different holiday, like an Arab holiday, or for example, a couple of months ago there was an Ethiopian holiday called Sigd. So in school, we had many posters and decorations for this holiday because we have an Ethiopian community in our school. And we were talking about it with our teachers. We saw many videos and pictures about it. And we had debates with Ethiopian students in our school. So our school really encourages us to get to know each other, as you said, sir, not just because we're sitting next to them, but because we're people and we're all special in our way.
We also have had in the middle school and in the high school different mifgashim, different opportunities for meetings. Maya mentioned the Tav Tikva Yisraeli, the program sponsored by our President Rivlin about the 4 tribes, which, by the way, for those of you who are familiar, we don't even fit into one of the 4 tribes because we're not secular, we're not modern Orthodox nationalist, we're not Orthodox Haredi, and we're not Israeli Arab. We're somewhere around something else, but our kids do get opportunities as well to meet other schools with kids that are different. Ilam, you wanted to say something about Haifa?
Yes, I wanted to say that one of the things that are more special about Haifa, as Liel mentioned, is the holiday of holidays, right? Hag Hagim in Hebrew. And it's something that is only in Haifa. You have Eid al-Fitr, the Muslim holiday, and you have Hanukkah, the Jewish one, and you have the Christian one, the Christmas. And they're all eventually celebrating the end of the year, right? All the things you've done through the year, and it's kind of make you feel like holiday doesn't have to be religious. It can be just a cultural act, especially in Israel. And eventually you go on together and you mix with people, and you have different opinions, different religions, and different maybe acts that you do, or you may be able to like hate each other, but you all together, you all like celebrating the same thing eventually.
Fantastic. Anybody else want to add anything before we move on to the next question? Okay, so we'll move forward. Israel is a unique society, and one of the things that makes our society unique is what happens after high school. So I know some of you just finished middle school or a little bit younger, but it's never too early to start thinking. And some of you, especially those of you who just finished 11th grade, definitely it's a bigger issue. So what are your thoughts about what's going to happen after high school? And what are you doing? What are most of your friends doing? How is maybe Leo Baeck influenced what you want to think you want to be doing after high school? Who wants to start? Okay, Yaara.
I actually just sent my application for a year of service in a Jewish community overseas to be there, to be a counselor there. And after that, of course, to enlist to the army. And I think I'm the oldest one here, so I've already started all the process. I already done some tests and done some interviews for the army to find the best job for me and where I can fit best or where can I give my 100% for my country.
And how
Yaara,
much choice do you have? How
Sorry,
much
I
choice?
didn't hear the question.
How much choice do you have in that?
I have a lot.
Okay.
So Yaara, just explain how it works. In 11th grade, you already start the process for the army?
I've done a Tzav Rishon, which is basically the first time you meet the army. You done some basic tests to just to see what level you are, I can say. In math, in Hebrew, things like that. And after that, there's some more complicated thing that just try to really fit you in the right place.
Do you have an idea what you want to do in the army? Can you tell us?
Maybe cyber or medical, something in this area.
Okay. And did Liel Baeck have any influence on the fact that you want to do a year of service overseas?
Yes. I think it came up because I was supposed to be counselor in a summer camp and just open my eyes for these kind of things. Yeah.
Okay, who else wants to share about their thoughts about after high school?
I know that I always wanted to. Oh, sorry. Can I?
That's okay. Emma, go ahead after that.
Emma, go ahead.
Okay. Thanks. I always knew that I wanted to be serving the intelligence unit. Actually, we start actually to think about what we want in an early age. In my case, and I always wanted to be in the intelligence, preferably something with languages, because I really like languages. Arabic, if I can, and I think it's very nice that you can, of course, you give to the country and it's very important, but also you get back many interesting experiences and good bonds with people that you would probably not get if you weren't in the army, who wouldn't serve. So it is interesting where you can get from there.
Okay. Maya?
For now, I think that before the army, I would like to do a community service year with the Jewish agency to be a counselor overseas. And I actually came up with this idea when I went to the Limmud conference in December. It was at Hanukkah, and I met there some of the counselors in England that came from Israel, and they told me about all these experience. And I think it's a different way I can give back to the country. And also, of course, after this, I would probably want, as well as Emma, to go to the intelligence and be maybe in a unit called 8200, if anyone knows. It's really a really interesting part and job, if you can call it a job.
Okay. Anybody else? Who else wants to share their plans?
Actually, not thinking right now about doing a year of service because I want to get to the military as soon as possible. Sorry about that. And I'm the third child. I'm free. My father served for 5 years in the Air Force, and I have two big brothers who serve in the Navy. One in Elat and one in Ashdod. So I have big shoes to fill, and I hope to get drafted to the Navy and do as much help as I can. And those are my plans for now.
Sounds good. Okay.
It's going to be interesting.
Definitely, Yotam. Sounds amazing. Liel.
I haven't started my progress yet for army, but I know that I would really like to go to do something in the Navy because I just find it interesting. And Haifa is located just on the Mediterranean Sea, and there is a much many bases of army and like ship stuffs and submarines that we do in Haifa, so it will be close to our home, so it would be also good. And you asked if we have a choice about what we're going to do in the army. So, well, because army in Israel is mandatory and it's a bit different than like the army in the United Kingdom or USA, because many people here are not exactly fighters and warriors, because like someone with medical issues, he will not be forced to do something that he can't do. The fact that here we have many jobs, as they said, that not include fighting and doing some physical work, like the intelligence unit, which is a large part of the army in Israel.
I'm not going to open up the whole conversation, but I've had a chance to speak with some of you before about the question of the role of women in the army, because we've been talking about choice. So do your opinion, should women be allowed to do everything in the army and serve in infantry, combat, fighting units, even the special ops ones alongside the men, or not? I see, Maya, you're going like this. What do you think?
I think I totally agree. I mean, I think women should do parts in the army as well as men's, and I think I mean we would probably do a better job, but I think it in some parts it's different and difficult, but with the time goes by and the army gets more and more the technology gets more I'm sorry, I just kind of lost the words.
Okay, we're saying that when the army gets more
I'm sorry,
technological.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
You're saying that when the army gets more technological?
Yes, and they starts to open more parts and jobs to women as well as they for men. So I think in the future, men and women will be serving in their same jobs and in the same parts.
Mm-hmm. Adar, do you have anything you'd like to add to this question?
Yeah, so really everyone said a lot. So I also, I'm a bit younger than Yaara, but I also just recently did my Tzav Rishon, which is like the first encounter with the army. But it really was, it's not like something that was like, well, that's my first encounter with the army, because as you know, in Israel, everyone goes to the army, and it's like you know a lot about the army. You know, you see always soldiers walking on the street or on the bus or on the train, and you always have like maybe a cousin or someone you know who's in the army. So really, it's not something that's just it's like, oh, I have to go to the army now. It's like you kind of like prepare for it your whole life, and you know about it, and it makes sense. And when it seemed always natural to me, but when I was abroad, when I lived abroad for a year in the US, and I was talking to their friends, and I was like, yeah, so I'm gonna go to the army after school. That's what everyone does. And they were like, whoa, that's crazy. Like, you have to go and fight. And it's true. Many people said a lot of people are not actually in fighting roles in the army. There are many other things that are done because almost the whole country goes to serve in the army. But it is kind of crazy when you think about it, that everyone in the country. But it's interesting to think that that's like part of the different reality that we have. It really is something that kind of unites at least the Jewish community in Israel together as a nation. You meet many people from different places in the country, from different socioeconomic stances that you really can't meet anywhere else because it's such a uniting factor. So it is really interesting to think about. It isn't just like 3 years or 2 to 3 years that of everyone's life that they give in the army. It is like a whole system and really a big part of our nation's buildup.
I think, Adar, you've worded it very well, this idea that the army plays a socialization process in the state of Israel. And that's an important part of what it is. I want to make one comment just to clarify. It's becoming more and more predominant in Israel that kids go from high school, instead of directly to the army, they do a gap year, but not like they don't go travel, they can't. They do a military approved year of service. Some are leadership programs called in Hebrew mechinot, and some are called shnat shirut, or years of service in Israel or overseas. And it's really an expression of commitment to Israeli society and to tikkun olam. And we're very proud at Leo Baeck that a third of our high school graduates do these different shnat shirut and mechina programs. It's unheard of statistically in Israel that such a high percentage of kids do that. And I think it's testimony to you students and the commitment that you have towards being a part of society, making your society better, and giving to a community, and not just doing only what you think is good for yourselves.
Right. It must be part of the way that sense of giving is embedded in the culture of the school. You've all spoken so incredibly about your service that you give now, as well as your aspirations for the future. And I have to say, the shinshinim, the young adults that come over to go around the world to serve in communities around the world in that year in between finishing school and the army, have had the most extraordinary impact on the Jewish world. With the shlichut, the old model of shlichut is very expensive, because you often were paying for a whole family to come over. Very valuable, but very expensive. This way, we get incredible benefit of young people like yourselves to bring an understanding of the Jewish world, of Israeli society and culture and community that's just really very important.
And it's an opportunity to give a shout out to Hadas Matalon, who is just graduated from 12th grade at Leo Baeck. And she's going to be in Toronto next year as a Shnat Shirut, as a Shinchin, working with the Jewish community there. And we hope to see more students from Leo Baeck in different communities around the world, which we're very excited about. So Adar, or one of you, mentioned going on trains and traveling and all sorts of stuff like that, which is not what we're doing right now. And the final question that we want to just kind of tie up this session with has to do with what's been going on since this Magefa Olamit, this pandemic, has taken off, and what it was like. Maybe some some examples of unique experiences that you've had, both in the learning realm, in the tikkun olam realm. I know some of you not on this Zoom, but on this broadcast, but other students participated in the Yom Limmud day that took place in May. Some of you maybe had connections with people overseas. So let's talk a little bit about how you're coping with COVID-19 as high school students at Leo Baeck in Haifa. Yes, Liel.
So a couple of weeks ago, when we were still quarantined, so me and some of my friends had a Zoom meeting with students in our age from Beverly Hills, a Jewish school in Beverly Hills. And I suppose they were supposed to come here, but because of the COVID, they couldn't. And it was very, very unique to meet other students the same as us from a different place. And we were talking about some topics as we just talked about now, about the army, about our plans, about how are we doing now with the COVID. And it was very, very interesting and unique. And it's not the first time that Leo Baeck did such a thing. Last year, we did something very similar, just with kids from New York who actually came to our school. as a delegation.
The students from New York were from Rodef Shalom Congregation School, and the students from Beverly Hills were from Temple Emmanuel, Beverly Hills. So it's connections with the liberal progressive movement around the world. And this is an opportunity for those of you watching to please reach out to me through Leo Baeck, Facebook, or wherever, because we're interested in having more relationships with these communities overseas. Who else wants to talk about their experiences during COVID-19?
So if I can say about it, it's definitely something that is hard for many people, and maybe there's people that watching this conversation now that has relatives that are in hospital, and on the other side though, this long time of being at home, being only with your family, it's something that is really special because my dad, for example, is working long hours and usually reach home very late. And it was nice to, be all together, and it make you feel more special that you have this elementary things we don't really think about usually. You have a family, you have still a house, that is big and you convenient to be in there, and it's something that is really, it was a unique opportunity, at least for me.
That's really a nice comment, Elam. It sort of connects with what I think Maya or Emma was saying earlier about how Israelis take their Jewish identity for granted, and part of what Leo Baeck is doing is to get you to realize, no, we need to think about and make choices about being Jewish. Now you've brought that into the context of our family lives, that we take so many things for granted, and no, this COVID has given us an opportunity to not take those things for granted and make choices about how we spend our time and what's the quality way that we can use our time with our families and with people who are so dear to us and we care about. Were any of you involved in Mitzad Gvura? Okay, so if not, then who else wants to share with COVID-19?
I can give it a try. I am very excited to say that hopefully, if everything goes well, this Sunday I'm going to be in a course in the Mashatim program for 6 days in the north. I actually have the pad right over here already prepared. And during current, 6 days out of the house, finally, over 6 months without trip. And in a bonus of that, I also guide in one of the courses in Mashatim with Maya, here, I guess. And during quarantine, we had an online course because we were supposed during the Passover vacation to go to a trip for 3 days, but it was canceled due to the coronavirus, and we had to do an entire internet course in the Mashatim, which involved in a lot of stuff, including volunteer work, society, nation, and field in Israel.
Excellent. So I will just mention what I referred to. One of our big Tikkun Olam projects that was run by the student body and a number of students at the high school was being part of a national initiative to do on Holocaust Memorial Day. It was called a March for Pride, but it was virtual. And Leo Baeck student body students actually prepared and led the ceremony that took place nationally as part of the ways that we adapted in Israel to marking Holocaust Memorial Day online and virtually through this kind of technology. Anybody else want to share some unique experiences that you had during COVID-19, Adar?
Yeah, so also, of course, all of that, we had to study on Zoom for school and all of that. And it was also very interesting and difficult because we, the people, us in the 11th grade, we also had to prepare for our Bagrut testings. So it was actually not that bad because in most subjects we finished all of the things that we had to learn, but there was a lot of practicing and we at first didn't really know how to do it on the Zoom because everyone's also stressed out, like how are we gonna make it to the test? This is really important. But I think really we did manage to learn and make the best of the situation. And also Yotam already mentioned the course that he's going on next week. So me and Yaara also we're both counselors in that course, and we're also very excited to go next week. And also in Passover, we're supposed to be guides on the Passover portion of the course, and it was all virtual, of course, because we couldn't do anything because of
a different course in the Mishatim.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes. Yes, and also we were guys there, and it really was interesting to me to see, because I've already done some studying on Zoom, but I was kind of like organizing the sessions on Zoom, and it was interesting to see how maybe the teachers felt like when the kids weren't turning on their cameras, or how to make them participate, because it was difficult, and making them understand when I'm not really sure how to do all the things with the technology. Now that's like an opportunity for me to see how maybe my teachers or other people felt with this whole situation, like to be on the different sides, and really to see how it affects many people. And also, on a different note, I really realized in my house, we all have computers, and we all, my parents were lucky to still have their job, but I really was able to see people that really didn't have these opportunities, and it was difficult for them. So my parents, they're both teachers. My mom teaches in the university, and my dad is a teacher at school. So they both also had to prepare online classes, and we had to like move around. Like, oh, he's having a session now, we should be quiet and all that. And with them, it was like some people, they didn't have computers, so it was a problem for them, or like they had to do it on a phone, but the phone wasn't working and all that. So it really also got me to understand how lucky I was that we, in our family, we were able to really make it through. And it was tough, and we had difficulties, but we really managed well in our circumstance. It was more difficult to people. And that's maybe why I felt that I and many other people did a lot of, not only in Israel, I know a lot of volunteering work was done. I personally went with my parents. We delivered food to elderly people in the city who couldn't get themselves because they were at a risk group. And really, I saw also like on social media and all types of people really doing all kinds of interesting volunteering work for the people who really needed it most and were hit hardest by the pandemic. So that was also really beautiful to see.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Adar, for sharing that. As I mentioned at the beginning, we at Leo Baeck were able to provide students, thanks to generous support of people like those watching this broadcast who donated money, so we could give students laptops. And now that we're looking towards the school year in the fall, we know that there'll be families that need scholarships so their kids can continue to go to Leo Baeck, to our elementary school, to our middle school, to our high school. And you know that everybody has to do their part to help out those that are in need. And it's fortunate that through the Leo Baeck community, we can help those directly impacted by COVID-19, some by making donations, some by volunteering, but all of us together, which is something that's so important. So really, Adar, that's kind of as a great way to tie up maybe everything we've been hearing about the importance of giving. So
absolutely.
Neil.
Absolutely. And actually, if anyone watching from the UK would like to be in touch, they can. I'm sure Rabbi Aaron Goldstein would love to have an email from everybody who's watching to say they'd like to donate. The website address came up on your screen, leobaeckhaifa.org, I think. And you'll find a mechanism there to donate. I wanted to finish actually by asking one question that isn't scripted, but you're only allowed one word answers. So you can only answer with one word, because my children, when they were sent home from school for the last day before lockdown, they had been told by their teachers, imagine in the future, you will be telling your grandchildren about what it was like to live in lockdown during the pandemic of COVID-19. It was a way for, they're young, they're only, they're primary school age. It was a way to help them think that there will be a time after COVID-19 and they'll be able to talk to not just their children, but grandchildren. And instead of asking you the hard questions about the future of Israel or Israeli politics, in one word, because that's not fair, in one word, if you had one word to describe what you think about the future what would it be? What would the future, to describe the future for you? What's that word? How would you describe the future? Anyone? One word.
I would say it would be challenging.
Thank you, Elam.
I would say evolving.
Thank you, Emma.
That it gives us. Okay, sorry, one word. Sorry, yeah.
I think you say with confidence it will always be interesting.
Interesting. Thank you.
Probably educational.
Thank you, Liel. You don't have to have a word, by the way, if you don't want to.
I think maybe just different.
Different. Thank you, Adar.
So I would say special.
Special, Yaara. Thank you.
I think I would say hopeful.
Oh my, you took my word, Benjy.
After listening to these students, there's only one word, which is inspiring.
So thank you. So I want to say, Emma, Maya, Yotam, Liel, Adar, Yaara, and Elam, there have been so many comments. You can see the comments, but so many people find you inspiring. You are really an incredible tribute, credit to the school, but also to yourselves. It's been a huge gift to us all being able to hear what you've got to say, to hear your thoughts and your reflections. It's been a great blessing for us. And I was going to say, hopeful, hearing the words, hearing what you have to say, hearing your ideas, hearing what you're thinking about, your experiences, in spite of the challenges, in spite of the great things that are happening in the world in a way that none of us really know or understand fully yet. The opportunity to hear from you gives me hope, and we're incredibly blessed to hear from you. And I want to thank you, Mikol Alev, from the bottom of our hearts, from all of the Jews who've tuned in, the progressive liberal Jews as part of this liberal Judaism opportunity to learn. It's been a wonderful gift. And Benjy, I don't know if there's anything you wanted to finish with just before we conclude and wrap up.
Just to thank you and to thank everybody who's taken the time to be with us this past hour. And from our point of view, it's a beginning of an opportunity to have a relationship with Leo Baeck, and we look forward to being in touch with you.
Absolutely. And I think I can speak from experience that if you would like an opportunity to connect with Leo Baeck as a synagogue or as an individual, the doors are always open. Even at the moment, you can do things online, but certainly when we can travel again, you'd be very, very welcome, I'm sure, to be shown around the campus and have a chance to see the brilliant work that goes on. So thank you again to all of you, Emma, Maya, Yotam, Liel, Adar, Yaara, and Elam, for giving your time this evening, for sharing your insights. It's really been very, very wonderful. And Benjy, thank you for bringing this to liberal Judaism here in the UK. It's been a true, true gift. Thank you.
Thank you, and Laila Tov.
And Laila Tov, absolutely. And see you all soon in person, I hope.
Yeah, and wishing everybody safety and health.
Absolutely.